President Obama is spending his first night in Cuba. The chief executive is on a historic yet controversial mission to the island nation. Fox News White House correspondent Kevin Corke is traveling with the president and has this report.
A new type of global warming is now taking place. And what may be one of the last melting points in the Cold War, President Obama is in Cuba, the leader of the free world, landing in Havana on Sunday. The island nation, just about 90 miles off the coast of Florida, has been a flashpoint between the U.S. and what was then the Soviet Union. In the early 1960s, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world closer to a nuclear war than at any time before or since. A heavy rain seemed to wash away 5 decades of animosity as President Obama toured the old city of Havana. The president says reopening the door to Cuba is beneficial to both nations.
This is a historic visit, and it's a historic opportunity to engage directly with the Cuban people and to forge new agreements and commercial deals, to build new ties between our two peoples, and for me to lay out my vision for a future that's brighter than our past.
President Obama is the first sitting U.S. president to visit Cuba since Calvin Coolidge did so nearly 90 years ago. Once a hotspot for American vacationers, the island nation turned into a Cold War thorn in the side of 10 U.S. presidents. That is, until the Obama administration decided to normalize relations. Embassies in Havana and Washington are now reopened for the first time in more than 50 years. Though not everyone is thrilled with the president's trip to Cuba.
Every dollar that is spent in Cuba doesn't go to the average Cuban. It ends up going to the regime, because you can only go to dollar stores that are owned by the regime to use those dollars to purchase anything worthwhile.
On Tuesday, President Obama will address the Cuban people with a careful eye on the Cuban-American population. During this trip, the president is expected to meet with Cuban leader Raul Castro, but not with his more famous and certainly more controversial brother, Fidel. Traveling with the president in Havana, Kevin Corke, Fox News.